Right, back in Rim Country again. And I found this crazy little thicket with a lot of weird debris. Just the way it's stacked. A lot of it's really old, which suggests maybe it's not super active. Some squirrels visiting me right now. Many squirrels are here. Woodpecker, you can probably hear off in the distance. And there's another crazy tree bend and weave right there. I'll get up close to him in a minute. And then, like I said, this thicket, and just a different feel back here. A little bit of wind. I'm on the leading edge of the Mogollon Rim here. Not too far from more active campsites, but just some of the tree bends that are in here that you can see. See the weaving right there? Closeness. Let's see if I can get a better angle of the campsites is because this is a camp area frequented by families with kids all the time in this area. Just look at that. Look at all that weaving there. And so this is also a nice clearing area. Again, this is a major thoroughfare for elk. And we're at the closest thing to kind of the hilltop, a rise. And just the way the deadfall is back here, it's perfect for, first of all, there's a lot of bedded down areas for elk. I saw a lot of droppings and some bedding down areas up around some grass, just off in that direction a little bit. But there's kind of this dome almost of visibility for at least 100 yards, probably in all directions, right in the middle of this thicket. And so it makes sense that there's blinds and again some of the sign of just randomly placed, crossed, you know. Again, Mother Nature or Other Nature could be either, could be anything. There's a lot of these little thickets. There's a mix of oak that's back here. I don't know if that's scrub oak or what, but it's I think it's scrub oak. You get some big oak trees in here, and ponderosa pine. And every now and again you'll see an aspen. And if you're a little bit lower in elevation, you'll start to see some cedar and some pinon. Anyways, it would make sense that this is an area. There's a lot of laying down spots. All right, I went a little bit deeper into the thicket here, and listen. I never thought anything of tree structures. I really didn't. Until started putting two and two together, you know, projectgoandsee, Rio, a lot of other people talking about sign. But the thing that's crazy is, the bottom line is trees fall down in the woods, no question about it. That tree right there, which was obviously cut on one end, and at first I was like, oh, check it out, it's a little dugout area with a blind. Well, sure, maybe it was used for that, but that's clearly from where that tree was uprooted. You can almost see the shape of that little depression. So trees fall in the woods, but then you have these little thickets, a little thicket stand, like this thing right here. And you just have some odd placement. That's the thing, is it looks natural unless you're looking at it or for it. And when I come over here and I start to see a total convergence of this much wood stacked up into an area, all this. Look how it's stacked so oddly back there. Tree break, major tree bend, and then a bunch of stuff leaned up and under and twisted from this log, which didn't even fall from here, by the way. The other thing I'll tell you right now, and I'm going to be cautious about even suggesting that it might be something else, but right out of my earshot or my range of audible hearing, it sounds like something kind of heavy, kind of not like thumping the ground, but, and I'm 500 yards at least away from the major road, so it would have to travel very far. And this is a deep, like I can feel a slight vibration, like when a thud, not a vibration. But it could be trucks with trailers, but it's too rhythmic, and it's never when I'm hearing them actually drive by. It's always between. And here's this crazy, I don't know, debris spot. It might be nothing, overlooking a clearing, a nice open area, and then look how little of debris there is. Now the Forest Service does do some clear cutting to help mitigate brush fire, you know, by cleaning up some of the litter on the floor, but they don't stack it back into a thicket. They don't stack it this way either. They'll cut it and stack it, and then they'll either remove it or they'll put it in very specific giant piles. And you can totally tell what it is. It almost looks like a beaver lodge. So it's not gaggled like this. And then, and here is where the original fall is from this giant tree. But these other pieces are all off to the side, back there. Different angles. And then what's interesting too is just off of this, you have this really low end where it looks where the seedling pines are. These little tiny pine tree babies right here, and low oak that's been seeded and growing up, and so it gives a lot of low range cover. But anyways, you can see just in the daylight right up there is a cliff's edge. So I'm going to walk up towards that, and then I'm going to make my way back to camp. But just interesting stuff when you actually are looking, when you get out and look. And again, this isn't too far from a campsite. Yes, we're in a wilderness area. This is an area that's plausible because of elk. There's a little bit of deer. You get a little bit of javelina, wild pig for us. And then the rest is kind of like small game. But anyways. All right, I'm coming on literally to the very edge of the Mogollon Rim. And to give you perspective as I walk up on this, besides the fact there is an incredible amount of deer and elk droppings everywhere, plus more log that's been torn into. And there's all kinds of, look at these tree lanes back in here. Zoom in on it. That wayward ledge going down into the rim area. And when deer want to come up here and pop up on the hilltop, tree break. You know, this would be a great place to yell. Just look at the hills beyond that. And it's beautiful up here. It's breathtaking. Look at that little draw right there. And all these randomly stacked wood piles. Kind of hard to tell with the exposure, but if you look at this, there's a lot of broken off pieces of wood just stacked up against it. Just looks like a bedding down area. But at the end of the day, look at that view. America, everybody, America. Look at that. Off into the distance. It's the Tonto National Forest below. I'm in the Coconino National Forest up on the rim here. Way down there. I'm at about 7,200 feet. And this would be such a blatant bedding down area, it looks like. So, anyways, before I lose much more sunlight, I'm going to take some pictures with the SLR. Draw is crazy looking down there. Look how the trees are woven in here. standing up on the log. And I'm starting to feel a little sketchy, so I'm gonna start heading back, but take a couple pictures and we'll be out of here. Alright, so it's the next morning, and I'm actually going to look for some stuff I can use for firewood. And we're not even far away. You might be able to see the person walking off in the distance. This is actually, I missed this yesterday, but notice this tree here. Now it's notched right into that tree. Now what's strange about it is there is a stump here, but it's too small for this tree. It's too narrow. It might be for that tree, but then there's this, again, weird stacking of logs. Just in a couple different angles, surrounded by a little thicket area. Again, this is back in there, and there's a bunch of tree bends back in there. Some of them you can probably see. But if they're wanting to observe campers or peek in on noise they're hearing, you know, you often hear reports of them being intrigued by the sounds of children. If you just listen while I'm standing here, you'll hear kids, even though it's 7 in the morning. But, anyways, interesting stuff. Might be nothing, but
that's pretty crazy. Notched in that little tiny tree. Big tree break right there.